Welcome back to another edition of Turnbull Garage. So today I'm going to start a project that's been put off for a little while, but this is my 2015 Mustang GT, and I tracked this car, and in the last little while, especially last summer, I was having an issue with the back of the car wandering on me. It felt like it was rear steering. Under throttle, the car would turn slightly one way, and when you decelerate, it would turn back the other way. So there's obviously something wrong in the back, a bushing I strongly suspect, so I need to fix that. And while I'm at it, I'm going to be upgrading some of the other bushings that are in the rear independent suspension. Just before I took this thing off the road to store it for the winter, when I was driving on the highway, it was actually really bad, to the point going around the corner on the highway, you'd almost lose control. The back of the car was so squirrely. So I really need to get this done. I'm very curious as to what actually is wrong in here, and I'm going to take you guys along for the ride. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this thing up on jack stands on all four corners, because I got to remove the exhaust on the drive shaft. So to get the exhaust off, I need to get a little bit farther up forward. So I don't have a hoist, so I'm going to get this thing right up on the ground, off the ground, and pull the rear wheels off and start going. So let's get going here. All that work, I'm thirsty. So some of the stuff I've already done to this thing, I've got some Coney adjustable shocks, some Steeda, I guess it'd be subframe connectors. I've also got some Steeda parts that you stick in, I think they're right under here, to keep the bushings from moving around. iBox springs. I've also got some, I can't remember, BMR. I've got a few BMR suspension parts back here as well. But the first thing I'm going to do is remove the brake caliper and hang that up, because that's going to stay with the car when I remove the rear suspension clip. Actually, I'm going to be replacing these because they're cooked. The boots are cooked. These things have had some pretty high heat put to them, and these are no good anymore. So yeah, let's get going. All right, I slipped the Corsa exhaust off. Not too difficult. It's definitely easier if you've got a hoist, a little bit of a bitch on jack stands. One thing, it's easier to remove the rear hangers off the mufflers, and then you can just slide the exhaust off fairly easy. So I'll take this, I'll slip it around behind the shop out of the way, and carry on with the next step, probably the drive shaft. Okay, next thing I'll do is remove the drive shaft. Note, it's been marked. You want to make sure it goes back in the same orientation as it was. You don't want to have that spun differently when you put it back together. So come on, how'd you get? There you go. Need to get a little pry bar. A little slot here in the rear end. There we go. Just pop the screwdriver in there, and she should just pop right out. And there we go. Drive shaft is out. So because we're going to be pulling the axles out of this thing, we're going to have to drain the rear end, which is actually probably a good thing anyway, because I've got quite a few track days on this, and I haven't changed the oil since I put the Royal Purple oil in here. Be curious what it looks like. pretty black, actually. So with this magnetic plug, it's a good time to see what's in there if there's a lot of stuff. No, there's just a little bit of very fine metal particulate. I would consider that to be completely normal. It's not bad, considering it's had some pretty severe use. We'll clean that all up and put this back in after the rear end's finished draining. Okay, I disconnected the rear brake caliper bracket for the emergency brake cable. It's a little 10mm bolt there. There's another 10mm bolt on the sway bar for the brake line, and the ABS wire. It's an 8mm bolt. You can take the ABS sensor out, and I've just tucked it up here. So now I'm going to undo this axle nut. I'm hoping I can do it with the socket that I've got. You really should use a 32mm, I believe it's 32mm deep socket, but I think I can get it with a normal one. Next thing is going to be to remove the subframe connectors, which are particularly nasty looking. They didn't stand up well, and I live on the west coast where there's very, very little salt, and plus this thing never sees the winter. It's stored. So they didn't stand up too well. And we got a bolt there, a couple of bolts on the rear, and some bolts up here. I think I might have to take these back and get them, take these in and get them repainted once I get them off here. Well, that's not good. There's a metal plate in there that is threaded. I do believe they slide it in there, and it is stripping. That is not necessarily a good thing. I don't think I can get to that. Oh yeah, there we go. There's a nut there. I forgot about that. There's a nut on the inside. What a pain in the butt. All right, that was a right pain in the butt. There was a nut. I don't even know if you can see where it goes. I'm not even gonna attempt to try. But on the back, there's one very obvious socket head bolt that goes in this one. But this one, no, it's this one is the challenge. It's a nut up inside. It's an 18mm, and it's a real bugger to get to. It's underneath the axle. I think a stock axle might be easier, but with the GT350 axles, I think the boots might be a bit larger, and it makes it a bit more difficult. But anyway, got one out. Now we'll take the other. All right, next thing I'm gonna do is remove the shocks. I'm just gonna take the bolts for the top bracket and release the tension off the spring. So I'll put a jack under the lower control arm there, undo the bolts, and then release the tension off the spring. All right, I just removed these two bolts right here for this bracket. These bolts help line the rear end, the rear clip. So I think we're down to the last 4 bolts. There's one on each corner here and 2 right up there. And I do believe those are the last bolts, and this whole rear end is going to come out. So that's what I'm doing next. And there you have it. The rear clip is out. It's kind of funny. It's been a long time. I first did this actually right when I got the car, nearly brand new. and put a whole bunch of stuff in here. But anyway, I'm gonna get this sort of tidied up in here and wrap this up tonight, clean up. And the next video, I'm going to start to dive into this. So thanks a lot for watching. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Think about giving me a thumbs up, and hey, why don't you subscribe? You'll know when the next video comes out. Thanks a lot for watching.